So with less than 24 hours to go before NBA free agency officially tips off, if you will, Kyrie Irving is one of the top 5 names in the news related to this year's NBA free agency. He is also the biggest enigma of any player in NBA free agency this year. Kyrie Irving is by far one of the greatest basketball players I've personally ever seen in person. Look, I've seen Jordan, I've seen LeBron, I've seen Steph, I've seen Dame, I have seen Kobe. Look, I have watched in person a lot of basketball. I've watched on television a lot of basketball, and I can safely tell you that Kyrie Irving is still one of my all-time favorite basketball players to watch. If Kyrie's in a game, I will tune in. That is the enigma that is Kyrie Irving, isn't it? Because he's not always in games. In fact, over the last 4 years, Kyrie Irving has missed 50% of his games. All right, today on Today's Sports Today on the House of Takes channel, we are going to just talk about Kyrie Irving. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Enough with the groveling. Let's just get into it. So Kyrie Irving, with, as I mentioned, 24 hours to go before NBA free agency officially kicks off, has said that he is going to hold some calls with other teams outside of the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the indications coming from the Dallas Mavericks as well as from Kyrie's camp is he's most likely just simply going to re-sign with the Dallas Mavericks. The question of who even would be willing to take phone calls with Kyrie Irving is a very good question. Look, there are a lot of teams in the National Basketball Association that would absolutely love to have a Kyrie Irving that played in 70%, maybe 80% of their games next year. But as we all know, Kyrie's also been an enigma off the court. He absolutely has. He says one thing one day and he says another thing the next day. Kyrie is the guy that says red's his favorite color, and by Friday, the answer has been changed to blue. Look, Kyrie Irving, as great as he is on the court, certainly can be an absolutely major headache. Now, we're running some video of Kyrie playing basketball, and he's just amazing to watch. He's gotten better with time. Kyrie is not also one of those guys that just plays in the regular season and then walks away from the game for 3 months, Jason Tatum. Kyrie Irving actually does play basketball throughout the summer. Kyrie Irving's one of those guys that is always working on his game. Kyrie Irving actually does have a really strong work ethic. But the big issue for the Dallas Mavericks isn't the performance that they'll get from Kyrie actually on the court. And we don't really even need to get into whether or not things meshed or didn't mesh with Luka Doncic last year, because the answer to that question is obviously things didn't mesh. Look, when Kyrie arrived, the Dallas Mavericks were in the 5th spot in the Western Conference. When the season ended, well, they did not come anywhere close to actually making the play-in, and in fact went ahead and tanked. Look, the Dallas Mavericks as an organization have essentially squandered the first 6 years of Luka Doncic's career. As good as a businessman as one Mark Cuban is, he has not done a good job with this basketball team. I'm putting up the roster right now. Look at this Dallas Mavericks roster. Look, if they don't re-sign Kyrie, they will most likely end up losing Luka Doncic in a year or two, and they will most likely end up being back in the NBA lottery. Now, there's all sorts of things that the Dallas Mavericks can do during this offseason to actually improve their team, to add some depth, which they're absolutely going to need to do. But do the Dallas Mavericks really want to be on the hook for a Kyrie Irving contract, a max extension contract? Look, Kyrie's trying to get north of $272 million in a 5-year deal. Who in their right mind in the National Basketball Association is going to offer Kyrie a guaranteed 5-year deal worth $272 million after what we've seen him do over the past 3 years? So basically, where I think this story actually ends is, yes, Kyrie's going to have a couple Zoom calls with a couple other teams. The Indiana Pacers will probably be one of them. And sure, we know that Kyrie really wants to be a Los Angeles Laker. I mean, he really wants to join LeBron in Los Angeles. Now, that would have to be a sign and trade deal with the Lakers, who would be perfectly happy to give up D'Angelo Russell to bring in Kyrie Irving. But I don't see the Dallas Mavericks going out of their way to make LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers better. This is war, folks. The Dallas Mavericks want to win now. And so they're probably going to go ahead and sign Kyrie to a 3, maybe 4-year deal. But Kyrie's worth every penny that he's going to get. He'll get north of $40 million a year. It's just a question of how long the contract will be. And my guess is he'll end up re-signing with the Dallas Mavericks. All right, tell me what you think. Where else do you think Kyrie Irving could land on his feet outside of Dallas? Should Dallas go ahead and re-sign him, or should they just simply cut their losses and move on? Those are the questions. Go ahead and drop in your comments when you have a chance. All right. That's it for today's Sports Today. We're trying out a couple different shows here on the House of Takes. We have an evening show which drops usually between 9 and 10 p.m. Called Stay Up. So check that out when you have a chance. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the House of Takes. For the House of Takes, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.